When I first got the script, I was expecting your traditional action movie with your traditional guy being the total hero of the whole thing, and I'm just sort of along for the ride. When I read Greenland, I really liked that there was a heart to the story, that it was a couple with problems, that it was real, that Allison was just as much a part of being involved in creating the safety for her child and, you know, emotionally invested in this relationship and in what was happening, and I felt like it was such a strong family nucleus, even though they were having their issues, that I really was compelled to tell the story. When the movie starts, Allison is pretty pissed at John. I think she's trying, for the sake of their child more than anything else, to hold it together and to give him another chance. I don't think she's there yet. I don't think she's ready. I think she's still angry and resentful. You know, we created this story that he cheated on her, but, you know, it's two people in a marriage, and he just wasn't dealing with whatever the issue was that they were having, and obviously did something terrible, but she also was not connected to him, and, you know, the way we kind of made it up for ourselves was, you know, she was very unavailable and emotionally kind of detached, and it created a big rift between them. And it was really great to, you know, start a movie in a place where you're not sure that things are going to work out. And it gives you somewhere to go in the end, and I thought that was really exciting. In the first scene of the movie, Allison is running very fast on a treadmill that goes nowhere. So that should give you some clues. I think she's very, very driven and very ambitious. She wanted to create the perfect family, and I think that's something that I relate to very much as a woman, is you want to be the perfect mom and the perfect wife and the perfect everything, and it's impossible. And I think she painted herself in a corner in that way, but I think she's just working out her demons, and I think she's somebody who goes hard. You know, she really fights for what she believes, fights for her family, fights for her kid. She's incredibly strong and willful and confident, but she's a little bit broken when you see her in the beginning because she's been through so much. But she's really trying to kind of, you know, patch over those cracks and not let them show, and pretend that everything is going to be okay, even though that's not what she's doing. Yeah, Allison, you know, I think getting your kid taken away from you is probably the worst thing that could happen to a mom. And that's exactly what happened in the movie. And she, you know, though perfectly equipped to deal with stress and, you know, somebody who does not flee at the sight of danger, that is a complete and utter vulnerability that hits her really hard. And I'm yet to shoot that scene. I'm really, really, really not looking forward to it, because it's a place emotionally that I'm gonna have to get to that I really don't want to get to. But speaking about Allison, I think she's, you know, thank goodness she is who she is, and she's a fighter, and she just is gonna do whatever it takes to get her kid back. She's gonna run down that highway, she's gonna find where they are, she's going to figure it out, and she's not gonna give up until she does. And I think that journey, that falling that she's had to do emotionally, helps also her reconnect with John in the end. You know, it's very easy to blame other people for everything that's going on, and I think in that moment she realizes how fragile everything is, and that you just have to kind of own up to your own stuff. I think we got lucky. I think the Gerards got incredibly lucky. I mean, obviously John is an engineer and has that ability to offer, but I think it's more about, you know, some people didn't, and we see all of our neighbors not getting chosen, and it's an incredibly harrowing scene that we had to shoot, where you're leaving people behind and you want to take everybody with you, but you realize it's not going to work and there's nothing you can do. And I think Allison feels very guilty about that, and it's a tough part of the movie to even understand, you know, like, why us? But I think that's a question that is throughout the movie in many different ways. Why us? Why is this happening? Why is the world ending? Why are we in this point that we are now? And how do we build ourselves back together? Yeah, I think the themes of the movie are very, very powerful. I mean, the obvious ones like humanity and family, you know, there are so many great people in this movie that help each other out, just as there are many terrible people who are taking advantage of a vulnerable situation. But I think ultimately the movie is positive, and the rebirth of, you know, the human race is going to happen, and we are going to survive in the face of this incredible peril. And, you know, it does make you think about your life a lot and make you think about what would happen if this actually happened to us. And it doesn't seem that far off. I mean, it doesn't seem that crazy. That's what's so scary about it. And it's also what drew me to the movie. Is it's an action movie. It's fun to watch. It's harrowing. It's terrifying, but it's very real. It is something that is very palpable and plausible.